Alright guys, here's your video on some further indices stuff. So one of the questions was about dividing fractions. So I'm just going to quickly show you a very simple version about what we're doing in general. So I leave the first one as it is, I turn it into multiplication and I flip the other one upside down, and then you multiply straight across top and bottom. And then if you can simplify, you do. So we're going to do that exact same process, but this time we're going to do it using algebra. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite these as they should be the first time. So I'm going to write 2x squared, and then this y comes up here. So this is going to be y cubed as it is, and then there's a y squared I'm bringing up. I'm going to bring up this as well, z, and then I'm just going to leave this x on the bottom because that needed to stay, and then I'm going to flip this upside down. So I'm going to have y4 z5, or y to the power 4 z to the power 5, let's say it properly, then 6x to the power 5 y cubed. Now I'm going to multiply straight across top and bottom, and then I'm going to simplify. So I've just got a 2, I've got an x, and there's no other x's, so I get to leave that. Y's, put them together, 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 4 is 9, and then 1z and 6, well, 6 altogether because there's 5. And then I'm going to look at the bottom. I've got a 6, I've got 1x here and 5 there, so I've got 6 altogether, and then I have a y cubed. All right, now I'm going to simplify as much as I can. So 2 divided by 6 is 1/3, so I have a 3 down the bottom. 2 minus 6 is -4, so 4 belongs on the bottom. 9 minus 3 is 6, so I have y to the power of 6 up the top, and then there's no other z on the bottom, so I'm just going to leave that as it is. So this is my final solution. So remember, put everything in the right place, flip this upside down and multiply instead, put everything together and then simplify. Let's do the same thing over here. So what I might do it slightly differently this time. This time I'm not going to flick everything around, I'm just going to move this, put them all together, then deal with my negatives. So you can deal with your negatives first like I did over here, or you can deal with them later like I'll do this time. So 10a squared b negative 3c over 6abc to the power of -4 times, and then I'm going to reverse this, so 3ab to the power of 4c squared over 2a to the power of -2bc cubed. Now I'm going to multiply straight across the top and the bottom, so 10 times 3 is 30. I've got 2 plus 1, so I have 3. B is -3 plus 4, which just gives me 1. And then C is 1 plus 2, which gives me 3. And then on the bottom I have 6 times 2, which is 12. And then I have A, which is 1 minus 2, which is -1. B is 1 plus 1, which is 2. C is -4 plus 3, which is -1. Now I've got some negatives I can start moving around, and I can simplify my numbers. Both of these numbers can be divided by 6. So I'm going to turn this number, I've got to put some equal signs in. I'm going to turn this into a 5, and then I've got 3 minus -1, so I'm going to add those together. Then I have B, so 1 minus 2. Actually, first of all, let's deal with this. So this is going to be 2, isn't it? So 1 minus 2 is -1, whoops, which means it's just 1 on the bottom, isn't it? Because it would be -1 on the top. And then 3 minus -1, which gives me 4. So then I should have 5, a to the power of 4, c to the power of 4 over 2b. So I don't really need to write 1, do I? I can just leave it like that. All right, now let's have a look at some of our fractional indices. So the rule is that if this was a fraction, this number here belongs on the bottom of my fraction. So another way to write this is b 4 over 6. Now this is not simplified, is it? This is the same thing as b 2/3, right? It's just like a normal fraction where you can simplify it. So same thing here, I'm going to take the number. So even though I've written this with brackets and this without brackets, it actually doesn't make any difference. I just wrote it 2 different ways because the book will do that sometimes, but you do the same thing. So I'm going to have m, and then this belongs on the top of my fraction and this belongs on the bottom of my fraction. So that's all I have to do. There's no way to simplify that. All right, let's do it backwards this time. So remember, a negative indice means actually it should be on the bottom, shouldn't it? And then I'm going to write it like this. So that means the bottom number belongs out the front as the root. So I have 1 over the cubed root of x to the power of 4. And again, you can put in brackets or not, it doesn't actually matter. This one's exactly the same, but this time I have a 5 in front. The 5 does not have a negative fraction or a negative indice, so that gets to stay on the bottom. Sorry, on the top. And I only move this bit down the bottom because that's the only part with negative indices. So then I'm going to rewrite it like this, so the bottom number comes out. So I end up with 5 over the 7th root of y squared. All right. So let's try and put some of this information together. So I'm going to rewrite, anytime you have square root signs or root signs, rewrite them as fractions first. So the first thing I'm going to write this as is x to the power of a half times x to the power of a third. And then this means that should be on the top, shouldn't it? Negative indices mean it's in the wrong place, and I have not left myself enough room to do that. Times x to the power of a third times x to the power of 5/6. Right, because this negative indice means it should be up here. So actually, I'm not going to have a fractional indice at all. I'm not going to have a fraction at all unless I end up with negatives again. So I'm going to make the denominators match so I can add them together. So I'm going to make them all with a 6 base. Oh gosh, I'm running out of room. So then half as a sixth is 3/6. 1/3 is 2. So then I have 3 plus 2 plus 5. Is that what I said? Yeah, 3 plus 2 plus 5. So that gives me 10. So it's x to the power of 10 over 6, which I can simplify to 5 over 3. So I should have x to the power of 5 over 3. All right, next one. I'm going to do the exact same thing. I am going to rewrite them using fractions instead of roots. So I'm going to have, first of all, this needs to move, doesn't it? So that needs to move and that needs to move because they've got negative powers. This is m to the power of a third. And then this is also m to the power of a third, isn't it? Because if I get rid of this -1 and bring it up, it will also be 1/3. And same with this one here. So this one needs to move. So this is m to the power of a half. And then this one is m squared if I bring it down the bottom. So now what I want to do is add together my fractions. So I'm adding my indices. So I have m to the power of 2/3 divided by, this is 2.5, right? So if I put it over half, 2.5 is 5 over 2. Now again, I need to make, the rule is, remember, when you're dividing, you just subtract them. So just like we were doing over here, we were subtracting our indices. We do the same thing here. So then I want 2/3 minus 5/2. Again, I'm going to make them all 6s. So this is doubling. So 4/6 minus 15/6. So then that gives me 4 minus 15 is -11 on 6. So then if I want to, so this is a negative fraction. So actually it should be 1 over m to the power of 11 over 6. And that is my final answer. Okay, hopefully that helps. So basically what you want to do is get rid of all the root signs, turn them into fractions, and then either add or subtract them depending on whether you're dividing or multiplying. Okay, let me know if you still want some extra examples. I'm happy to do them. Good luck.